We sing.
We have our own traditions.
We are not caricatures
or fictional characters
that you can mock at your leisure.
We are human beings.
Just like you.
We dream of one day
when our culture can
respectfully coexist with yours.
Don't continue to dishonor us.
Please reconsider
your culturally insensitive
mascots.
And I'm from the Seneca people, all the way from New York, and you're listening to KILI 90.1 Porcupine.
Just a reminder out there, there is no transit services today, Wednesday, February 27th, in observance of Indigenous Day, tribal holiday. Transit service will resume as usual on Thursday, February 28th, tomorrow.
So why don't we start back there again? So what got you involved with the AIM?
American Indian Movement. Dennis Banks. He come to Haskell, where I went to college at, in '71, and he had a speech down, or he had a gathering down at the student union. We all went down there, and that's the first time I met him. And I got inspired by what he was saying and in the direction that they were going in, so I wanted to join in too. So my friend Leonard and Albert and I were involved in Wounded Knee.
Well, it's 40 years since we first came here. I was part of the crew that came here 40 years ago. It was, I was 20 years old. It was the only thing going for me in my life was to stand up. That's the only thing I had. It was just my presence, and hundreds of us came. Thousands of us came.
The reason I mention her name is because during time of Wounded Knee, which we're celebrating, there's a lot of hardship. Those of you from here, you remember, sometimes we ran out of food. We had to go next door where the white ranchers had their cattle, and we brought a few of them over. And one time they sent some of the boys from the city to kill a cow. Here, why? Yeah, they killed a bull. So we had a tough meet for about a week over there. So we had to have a class, a training on the difference between a cow and a bull. So a lot of things like that. We had a grand jury there where people came up and testified before our little grand jury of all the racist incidents that happened. Because remember, AIM, we just didn't go protesting, having guns, demonstrating. We documented everything. So we took all those complaints of people, how they're treated in these border towns, we gave them to the United States Justice Department after that, to show why we're there. And so that song was made, and Siebert told us, don't ever forget Raymond Yellow Thunder. He's the one that was killed. And so they gave that song to American Indian Movement, the one you just heard, the AIM song. Known all over the world, went into the United Nations. Even the FBI's know that song. Because we sang it right in front of J. Edgar Hoover Building in Washington. We sang it at all the trials for 9 months. So they know that as well. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about that history of AIM, how we got here. The reservation. But this reservation where you're at here, second largest reservation, United States. 100 miles from east to west. 90 miles from north to south. It's over 200 million acres of tribal land. Right now it's in the beginnings of what we call a oil boom. You don't hear about it too much. Everything's attention of North Dakota. But some of the brothers, they already stopped some trucks because they've been trying to haul in some oil supplies to start drilling around here. What they call fracking, to take out the natural gas. So all the things that the people of Canada is facing with the tar sands, with the diminishment of your rights, is coming here as well. It was here already. See, when they want your minerals, that's what they do. They try to diminish your treaties, your rights, everything.
Yes, even here in Pine Ridge and other people, they did art for this new 40th anniversary. But nothing really came together. And I commissioned artists in Minneapolis to do it. And because his car broke down, so he couldn't get it to me in time. And at the last minute, what's his name? Melvin Lee called me from Nebraska. And he said, I have an artist for you. He's already got the poster done. Not only does he talk about the BIA takeover, which was three months before Wounded Knee, he's captured that in a pin as well. Have him do it. Have him email it up to me. We'll take a look at it. So when he did that, we decided to make this poster commemorating the 40th anniversary. A lot of people have a lot of questions about the artist to come up and explain this like, and I'm going to put some of these out. We have a t-shirt we already made. Probably never make another cut like that. There's 200 of them on the table out there. We'll buy them. We discounted them $10 already, from 30 down to 20. So everybody can try to get one. They're back there, red and white. And ask Danae Keeler to talk briefly about this painting.
My name is Donnell Keeler. I'm a Dakota Sioux Santee. I'm share the same grandmother as Don Trudell, part Northern Ponca, French and English. I was present in Washington, D.C. in the BIA building with the American Indian Movement in 1972. So that's how I know what happened and what we did there. We had these, I have them painting the cars coming up to Washington, D.C. that I had the lights blinking on and off. Because when we pulled into Washington, D.C., all you could see was our caravans coming together. 3 caravans coming together into Washington, D.C. We had to all blink our lights on and off, and it looked like it stuck in my mind because the people on the long side of the streets had their arms up like that, and then we drove right through there to Washington, D.C., the White House here. So I got the lights blinking on and off here. And then I got, when we pulled into Washington, D.C., Nixon took off in a helicopter. I seen him take off in a helicopter, and he was headed for Camp David for safety reasons. So I put that in there, and then I put We the People
for We Are the People. So we went on over to the BIA building there, and that's when we took over the BIA building there. So I had to put that in there because that was when I first met Dennis Banks was at Haskell Indian College. I went to Haskell in '71. And some of us Haskell students became American Indian Movement members, and that's where we all converged and came up to Wounded Knee in '73. And this shows our bunker up here. We were the bunker over by the gravesite there. We had 2 AK-47s in there, but we passed them around to make it look like we had more AK-47s in there. But I put that in there too, and then I put the red tracer bullets that they shot at us. I forgot to put the American Indian flag in here upside down because I had these bullets flying in here. But I did put the outhouse in here behind the church there because I always remember when I went in the bathroom there, all the women would put a sign, "Watch your aim," in the outhouse. So that little outhouse, that's what that means right there. And then I got the church with the bullet holes off of there because you couldn't stand in the wall like that without the bullets. There's holes all over the wall there. And here's one of my friends passed away that was in Wounded Knee, and he was in a couple of videos in there, Rage Against the Machine. His name is Prentice Grant. He was only 18 years old. He's an Omaha from Omaha. When we were in the firefights in the bunker up front there, we had a squad leader named Santiago, and he told us, we all had Vietnam veterans, squad leaders and stuff to show us how to fight and what to do in the fight. But we had these Molotovs in the bunker there, and our Santiago, our squad leader, told us to get that out of there because if the bullets ricocheted there, we were all goners. So we all looked around, and he asked for a volunteer. And Prentice stood up, grabbed the Molotov cocktails, and took them over the hill, and we covered for him, and he came back alive. He's passed on now. I just wanted to say his praises because of what he'd done that time. And here's Albert Greymount. He's a Dene. He's a leader in with his own people and stuff. He's a very good friend of mine.
To have you take a look at this, the bottom 40% of Americans, the amount of wealth held by the bottom 40% of the population is shocking. The two quintiles hold just 0.3% of the wealth in the United States. Most people guess between 8 and 10%. And 2,000 academic economists got it wrong too by guessing 2%, 7 times too high. That's where you're at. So everybody goes and votes for Obama or votes for when 70% of the white people voted for what else his name? Romney. 70% of the white people voted for Mitt Romney. Obama still got in. But when you think about it, who is Obama? He's a servant. He's a person that serves the wealthy. So I say to you that the goal and the work that we need to do as American Indian Movement is to organize, work together. On the oil issue, we're front and center. Roseau River, we have the Enbridge pipeline 20 miles from our community. 20 miles. Pumping station at Gretna, Manitoba, pumps 1 million barrels of oil per day to the United States. All the way to Cushing, Oklahoma. So that water, that pipeline that was going to come through here, you have a say in this. And it's important you organize. Yes. Let us talk about what has happened here and the spirit. But when we blow that whistle, we blow the whistle so the spirits of the ancestors come and see what we're doing. And we stand here today for our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren, that they may have something to live with. That's what American Indian stands for. May we in the name of God.
It was a good feeling to be in there, because you was there with nothing but other natives from all over. And we began to met, a lot of us, we didn't know each other, and a lot of us we did from other AIM activities. And so it was a good feeling to be in there. We knew what we were doing. We knew what it was about. We knew we had to continue to stand up. And I guess we were kind of fulfilling a prophecy I heard back before I even came up here. They said that there's going to be that red giant is once again going to stand up. And we've seen that come about. We've seen that red giant. He stood up back up in the west just like they said he would. It comes through Alcatraz Island. And the resistance of the Indian people on that western seaboard from Oregon all the way on down, they were beginning to stand up for different issues, treaty rights, in particular, fishing, and those type of issues that was out front in those days.
What did you first see when you first came to South Dakota? What was your first, when you got to the area of Wounded Knee, what did you see first?
Around with the FBI. First thing I seen was the beautiful scenery, the Black Hills, Badlands, and the reservation.
Okay, and tell us the atmosphere when you first got into the bunker.
Kind of spiritual, kind of mystic, kind of like a sense of being a spiritual being, a warmth.
The roadblocks were down, I think, when I went in there the second time. First time I went there, we were busted before we got into Wounded Knee all the way. Then the second time we came in, I think they had the roadblocks down, and they were getting ready to maybe even settled up, or it was kind of like relaxed at that time. And I don't know exactly what all was going on about that particular time, but we was able to get in then. And then things broke down at the negotiating and in the roadblocks, and everything went back up, and once again the Wounded Knee was closed off.
Relatives, thank you for being present tonight. Thank you for participating in the 40th anniversary of the occupation celebration, commemorating occupation. Those people who have sacrificed gave the ultimate sacrifice. Some have journeyed on, some are still with us. And for those people involved, today is their day. We will be honoring them, we will be remembering them. Tomorrow we will be walking in their memory. With me, I felt it was really important that I have a couple of brothers here who are also Wounded Knee. They will share some of their thoughts with you, and also give welcome. Thank you very much. I'd like to call on Lenny Foster, the Navajo brother from Arizona.
And I'm a Dene from Fort Defiance, Arizona. And I was here with the American Indian Movement 40 years ago. Now I'm 65 years old. And I'm very proud to have been here with the Oglala people, standing up against the United States government, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and the FBI. And I have many fond memories of my stay, visit here. I'm glad to be here. So enjoy yourself. Have a good time. Listen to the music. We got our own Indian people, musicians, in this beautiful arena here.
Ladies and gentlemen, they are the champion singers of America, North America, and not once, twice, 3, 10, 15 times champions across this country. Let's give a big round of applause to Midnight Express!
Hey!
Now I would like to see some dancers out here. You know, I don't know more. You get out there, people start dancing. Come on down here, let's give a dance to the Midnight Express, okay? Everybody!
Maybe we can get Dennis to lead it out. You guys all come help me.
There's hardly a day that goes by that we don't read in our native newspapers and magazines of another patriot whose face of the rock is blown off by a high-powered other. Don't forget about me, take no years and only do. 'Cause if they do it to me, who's to say they won't do it to I'm the one who was buried with my heart and wounded me. I'm the one who was tossed in a ditch on the trail of tears. I'm the one who was buried with my medicine bag in my bag. Now my medicine is on display on front of that and don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. One of our attorneys during that 9-month trial is here, Larry Leventhal. Larry, you want to come over and say a few words? A few words. You know, those attorneys, once they get the mic, and just, they start going on and on. Beginning with 1492. Larry Leventhal, one of the attorneys, 1973. Hi. Dennis was going to cover the time between 1492 to 1973. But we're here now commemorating events that took place 40 years ago when people such as Dennis and many others who are here stood up and said, we're going to help the people who are here at Oglala, who are at Wounded Knee. The suppression has to cease, and the time for people to take control of their future must be here. So it was time to honor the treaties, and it's time to honor the people who are working towards expressing sovereignty, expressing dignity, and being able to say, we have a history, we have a future.
Get back, old devil, and don't come round no more. Get back, old devil, and don't come round no more. Get back, old devil, don't come round no more, and look upon your shelf.
All right, we got the student of the year. Von Bardis, and he's a student here at Oglala Lakota College, and he'll be up here. He is a motivational speaker. Let's give a big round of applause. Come on.
Someday I will propose, but it shall become something more.
1998, many years ago, that Monteau and I, we did a tour in northern Minnesota for Leonard Peltier. But he was one of the first to step forward and do benefit concerts for Peltier. Peltier is still in prison. We still have to work on that.
Today we have our spirituality that grew out of the movement, and today it's a lot of our people have been utilizing the spirituality, the ceremonies that have been rekindled through the movement that brought back the sacred fire for our people, and that brought the drum back. So these elements are alive and well today that our younger generation can utilize this today. Not being embarrassed or ashamed of being Indian. When I was back in the 70s, it was very difficult.
I mean, a lot of people forget in those days there were signs up, no Indians allowed. We couldn't get gas at certain places, or in those days buy liquor from a certain liquor store because they wouldn't sell the Indians. Or if you went into grocery stores, you didn't get the discounts. You paid for the discounts for the white people that were getting all the discounts. It was visible. You know, in those days the racism was straight out front. You had to I never respected them, but at least they were up front when they disrespected you.
Second, honoring the life of Russell Means. Oglala Lakota, the family of Russell Means invites you to join us in the second honoring the life of Russell Means. The honoring will highlight his life, leadership, and eternal fire that he reignited. Throughout the Indian country, his honoring is being held in conjunction with the 40th anniversary of the Wounded Knee 73 occupation. February 27, 2013, doors open at 4 p.m. at the Pine Ridge School Old Gym, west side of campus, South Dakota, USA.
called Scatter Their Own. Yeah, and we're from Pine Ridge Reservation.
We grew up here.
Yeah, and we're just getting started. We're a new band. We've been out for about a year and a half. We just produced an EP. It's on iTunes. It's called Catch a Fire, and you can pick that up. It's like 4 songs, and tonight we performed Running off of that EP. So
in honor of Russell Means,
yeah,
and it's about the buffalo, so we thought we would honor him in that way.
Yeah,
with that song.
And of course, he stood for a lot of freedom. You know, that our people need to get in touch with more courage. So you can't have freedom without courage. So the song "Running" represents the buffalo always running into the storm. Storm's heading toward them.
Really something to be here with everybody that's still living. Dennis Banks and Clyde Belcourt, Crow Dog, who was one of their younger spiritual leaders. Foos Crow was the original spiritual leader for the American Indian movement back then. So it's been really nice to be here today and see everybody, see family. It's just a celebration that, you know, even though your heart's heavy and you're feeling bad, you know, it's good to be here with everybody. Even though we just lost Russ just recently, so.
Thank you everyone for coming. On behalf of the family, we appreciate each and every one of you for making it here tonight, sticking it out with us to honor my father, for traveling, for making time and planning to be here with us this evening. On behalf of my dad, we're very grateful to see every one of you here, friends and relatives. Thank you all for being here and eating with us. So thank you for coming to Wopula.
Check it out. They are having a walk out there in the Wounded Knee 4-direction walk. Then they're going to have all kind of activities, honorings, and then they're going to have a powwow over there at Wounded Knee District Schools. That's all I know, people.
As you drive by, what's going through your head right now?
People that passed. All my relations.
All my brothers and sisters who aren't there. Remembering every one of them guys. There's so many of them now that are gone. You know, I really miss them all. We did things together that our generation, we traveled across this country together, from Washington, D.C. back to Pine Ridge, or from Pine Ridge to Washington, D.C., saying, this is ours. How come we don't have control of it? See, when we did that in the early 70s, we were told who was going to lease our land. We were told what they were going to do with our land. We were told if we could live on our land. You know, here in Pine Ridge and Santee, where I'm from, we were told what was going to happen to our land. That's all changed now.
I was a member of Vietnam Veterans Against the War, and I came up in, I want to say around the 15th, 16th. It's been a long time, I don't remember dates. Originally came in a couple of days, stayed, went out, went back to Denver where I was living, came back, spent about 2 weeks inside where I did bunker duty on Denby bunker and also operated radio at the security headquarters. Went out again and came back in for the last week, and I was here on May 8th with the laying down arms. No big role, you know, nobody important, just a warm body. The last couple of weeks is that I've been debating whether I was going to actually got the gumption to do the walk. I said, I don't know. I get out here and says, I gotta do it. I gotta do it.
Let's head on over to Porcupine now before we can get together with them.
And your children, and shall make slaves of them, and we shall take away your goods.
I am with Deep Green Resistance, and we do some work out here at Pine Ridge. We are allies to some of the folks and activists that do different protests and such out here on the reservation, and we just come and support and ally and do what we can and take Indigenous lead and do what we can to make things better out here.
You know, I wasn't in Wounded Knee myself, but I came out here with Crow Dog and some other guys to come in here that one night over by Baseland. We went across the ditch. I was holding a fence down and they all crawled over. I was carrying this bundle that Crow Dog put together. I handed it to him and I was going to crawl over the fence, and here all of a sudden he really hit me. He slugged me right in the chest, and I went back and I said, what was that for? He said, nephew, go home. I said, why? Tell me why. He said, because I said, I want to go in and help. I said, these are my people. He said, you can't. I said, why? He said, because this doesn't belong to you. This belongs to them. He said, yours is in the future. Go home and get ready because we're going to need you. I didn't know it then, but now I know. The vision, I don't want to keep us any longer here. We got a job to do here. So we're going to walk and we're going to pray. And all of you pray hard. Our relatives are waiting over there. I'm very happy to be here with you all.
All the kids is very concerned. Why they're concerned? The enchantment of 1890 and enchantment of today. Why today there is laws. Why they bury them all in one top at each other. The government could not define archaeologists or the burial proceedings. The United States government, I wonder he ever concerned cousins and grandmas, and they're not buried in a very respectable proper. For that reason, I have let the United States, the religious foundations, and other government proceeding their laws, I have mentioned to them, why do you have a chance, white man? We understand you, government. We understand what you do when we walk miles to the four-direction walk. We have very concerned that burial, for even the flower could not. If that flower, we're going to put that flower, United States government, I'm waiting for United States government to say, I'm very sorry that what I did to the Lakota, all the tribes. I'm very sorry. Look at the Jews. 6 million that murdered, 6 million Jews that live in America, they get paid. I'm not asking them to raise the welfare. I'm asking the biggest international lawsuit, every remains of our children that's buried there. And that's what we walk. We walk to divinely to talk to our loved ones every year. And that's what Russell Means talks about. That's what Dennis Banks talk about. That's what Carter Cam talks about. That's what the leaders, and that's what our children, a lot of children there cried. Why? They know the tears of those innocent murdered in Wounded Knee.
Boys pull in.
Were you on the march yesterday?
Yes. No, I dropped my daughters and my sister off. They walked in from Porcupine, and we had a vehicle, so I stayed with the vehicle. And I told them I walked in the last time, so you guys can walk in this time. So.
I'm here to honor and commemorate the veterans of Wounded Knee 40 years ago, 1973. As a part of that, as one of the first AIM original kids, my mom was National Secretary of the American Indian Movement, Reva Decora Barta. My father here, they're both deceased, George Barta, provided ammunition and food, dropped in by airplane to Wounded Knee. So our family, it was a family gathering to try to make it better for Indian people.
Tell us, what do you know about Wounded Knee?
That some of our great-great-grandpas and uncles died here, and the only thing that I kind of forgot who started the AIM or something, and sometimes you can kind of find the bones everywhere, and I think that they came from like over there or something. They came in from that place and just started. And I don't know if they were fighting over a cow or something.
Made it.
You're back.
Yeah. They've been in heaven.
Thunder Coming here today. Remember all your ancestors. Honor all your great chiefs. Honor all your great warriors, men and women who gave their lives. Gave their lives that we would still be here today. Today my heart soars like an eagle. Soars like an eagle. July of 1968. We formed the American Indian Movement. We didn't know when it was formed. It was going to be the greatest revolution that ever take place here in America. We didn't know that tribes and nations from the four directions of the universe across Mother Earth, all the way down in Central and South America. We didn't know that this movement would someday stand before the United Nations. Here I'm finally voted on the Declaration of Rights of all indigenous people of the world. That's what this revolution is all about. For all of us that suffer under the same types of governments, the puppet tribal governments that control and listen, kiss up to the BRA. Right on! Because they taught them when they were little kids. And some guy in high heel shoes, little fine leather, black high heel shoes, nylons up to his knees, little ruffled shirt, had a blonde wig on, wooden teeth, even had a little rouge on his cheeks. They're trying to tell us that was the father of our country. What a bunch of bullshit. My father, your father's father didn't look like Boy George. Thank you. I guess I'm not surprised you're here.
I know, yeah, give us the bill. Water right here.
Too many old hammers left.
Need help, got it.
Come on in.
Flags and hey,
that's my camera. Post camera! Post camera! Post camera! Post camera! Post camera! Post camera!
It's like a carnival this week or something. It's like a festival. There's so many people here from so many places around the world, and I'm very happy.
Yeah, a lot of events going on and being able to connect with different people.
Young, I'm not Indian. I was a young veteran, and just I wasn't sure what was going on, but I know it was something right. Well, when I came here, and it took years and years and years to understand, well, what I've taken away is that I made a commitment, and I've honored that commitment for 40 years. I have never betrayed the people. I have never betrayed my brothers and sisters who fought here. I've never betrayed the idea that people have a right to be who they are.
It's
think it's great that we made 40 years, and I think it's great to think about the next generation ahead of us. So it's been a tremendous gathering, and it's also a re-certification of what happened there, and also blessed us again for another 40 years.
The youth today is very intelligent, a lot more so than I was, aware. They're a lot more aware of the struggle that we went through and what was happening during our time. It's still kind of here today, but it's probably not as bad as it was, but it's still prevalent. But nevertheless, that's what it's all about, is to get that the younger generation organized, and the Idle No More movements and stuff like that that's taking place, trying to address our problem with climate control, and our focus is on our grandmother Earth and all that she has endured, and everything that it seemed like that's where a lot of our battles and struggles came from, was because of the abuse to our sacred Mother Earth in one fashion or another.
Well, I think they could see that the sacrifice that their relatives made 40 years ago and pick up on it, that, you know what, there's so much more to do. We have land, and we're just getting control of it. It's like from early 1970s to now, that's 40 years of, we just got a hold of tribal governments as the Indian people, running our own tribe without the Bureau of Indian Affairs. White people telling us how to run our governments. We're just getting control of it. There's that next step, and I want them to take it. And I don't know what that vision is. That's third generation. They need to take that new step, and that includes technologies. So please, get the science, get the math, get all these new technologies. These computers are bringing history to us instantly. Get into it, absorb it, because the past is the future. It will show you, it will lead you. And please look at the past, because the future lies in it.